Hello, and welcome to the Epicurus Podcast, where I bring you the latest philosophical insights and help you build a better life. Today, we're going to be talking about a very positive topic: the fear of death. I know, but before we begin, I want to offer you the solution. It's a shift in paradigm. I have a 10-day guide to overcoming the fear of death. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about Epicurus' core argument as to why you shouldn't fear death, how it impacts our life, and how to overcome the fear of death. But I have a 10-day guide to help you do just this. The 10-day guide also has an appendix on the fear of hell. You can download it for free by joining my Patreon in the link in the description. If you join my Patreon for free, you can download this resource at no extra cost to you. Download other resources, get weekly updates, um, and join our virtual community of philosophers. I hope to see you in the description. I hope to see you in the community. Now, Epicurus' core argument: why we shouldn't fear death. It goes like this. He had a radical view. Let's just start with the argument. With a quote. Epicurus said, "When when I am, death is not. When death is, I am not. Therefore, death is nothing to me." This is a radical view on death. He argued that we shouldn't fear it because when we die, we cease to exist. And so there's nothing to experience. It's not going to be painful in any way. So, point number one, where death is, we are not. Death is non existence. Epicurus famously said, "Death is nothing to us." Why? Well, because when we're dead, we won't be around to experience it. So, but when we're alive, we're not dead, so we don't experience it anyway. The only people who have a problem with it are those who struggle with the fear of it. But if you overcome the fear, there's nothing to struggle with. Once we're gone, we are no longer capable of feeling any pain or fear or pleasure. So why fear something that we are never actually going to experience? Because the state of non-existence is a painless free enterprise. So this goes to death as the end of sensation. For Epicurus, life is all about sensation, the experiences we have, the pleasures and pains we feel. Death, by its nature, is the end of sensation, meaning the end of experience. We don't have experiences. It's the absence of all experience. This means there's no suffering or punishment awaiting us after death. It's just nothing. Now, freedom from the fear of eternal punishment. Many people throughout history have feared death because of the possibility of eternal punishment or judgment. Epicurus believed that these fears were rooted in superstition, not reality. There were poets in his day scaring people with their stories of Hades. If there's no sensation after death, then there's no place for punishment or suffering in an afterlife. I mean, just think about it. We know what's in the center of the earth, and there's no underworld, and there's no hell. Think of it this way, too. If you're basing your fear of hell based on the Bible, if you read the majority of the Christian Bible, you'll see that every time most of the time when it actually talks about what happens after death, it talks about a place of the dead called Sheol or Hades in the New Testament. It's just a place where the good and the wicked go. Just read the book of Ecclesiastes. There are multiple views of the afterlife within the Hebrew Bible and in the New Testament. So, and the majority that you find is actually soul sleep. But that's a video for another day. Now, point number two, how the fear of death impacts our lives. Peers believe that the fear of death often causes unnecessary suffering and prevents us from enjoying life to the fullest. The fear of death impacts our lives because it causes anxiety and fear, which block happiness. When we are constantly anxious about death, it distracts us from the present moment. We get so wrapped up in the unknown future that we forget to enjoy the life we are living right now. Epicurus taught that this kind of anxiety is a major obstacle to achieving a peace of mind. So, we need to see the negative impacts that it's having and understand that fearing it is not going to expand our lives and it's not going to prevent the inevitable. So, it's best to make peace with it. Now, living in fear leads to poor decisions. Some people try to cope with their fear of death by pursuing wealth, fame, or indulgent pleasures that are excessive and they're not even healthy. They think these things will make them feel more secure, but in reality, they create more stress and dissatisfaction. The more we chase after these things, the further we move away from true contentment and a healthy, long lasting happiness. Remember this, the fear of death prevents us from embracing life. Ironically, the more we fear death, the less we really live. So you're actually making the problem worse. If we're always worried about what's coming, we are unable to appreciate the simple joys around us. Epicurus believed that by accepting death as a natural part of life, we free ourselves to fully embrace the present. So the solution to death is to live free from fear, to live happily and enjoy every moment possible, and cherish life to the fullest. The fear of death prevents us from doing so. And so we are experiencing death more than we actually need to. It's a shame. And but I understand because I've been there. There is a way out by shifting our paradigms. So let's shift that paradigm. We're going to talk about reflecting on the nature of death, practicing gratitude, and building a community of meaning, a community of love and of friendships. So, how do we apply this wisdom? Reflect on the nature of death. Take some time to reflect on what death really means. It's it just means non-existence. It's the absence of experience. It's a natural part of being alive. Everything that has ever been alive in this universe has died and has never come back. That's what the science shows us. Billions and billions of organisms that have lived have also died. And if you look at the universe as a whole, there's billions of stars that live and then die, and they're not even organisms. That which has a beginning also has an end. That's the beauty of nature. So, understanding death as a natural part of life can help dissolve irrational fears. Because remember, Epicurus said, why should I fear death? When I am, death isn't. When death is, I'm not. You won't be afraid of it when you die. It's comforting. It's a comforting thought when we break it down and accept nature for what it is. It's finite. That's all it is. It's finite. Death is neither good or bad. It just is. And I don't mean an early death. I just mean death as a concept that everything that begins to exist will eventually cease to exist. Now, another remedy is to practice gratitude in the present moment. When I go to work every day, I tell almost everybody I meet, I say hi to, today's the greatest day of the week, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and the grumpy people look at me like I'm crazy. And they say, why? I- And I say, because we're alive today. The day that I'm alive, that's the greatest day of the week. So, one way to overcome the fear of death is to focus on the life that you are living today. Literally, like today, whenever you're listening to this podcast. Practice gratitude for your daily experiences, whether it's the food you eat, the people you love, or the things that bring you joy. This helps ground you in the present moment. Practicing mindfulness. When we focus on living well and being mindful of today, we stop worrying about the end. Now, our final remedy is to build a meaningful community. Epicurus placed great value on friendship and community, essentially love. When we surround ourselves with meaningful relationships, that's family and friends that actually love you and enjoy being with you, then we can enjoy life more deeply and feel supported. Knowing that we have created lasting bonds with others can help ease the anxiety of what comes after. Epicurus had a garden. No, like a literal garden. That's what he called his community. It was like a non Christian version of a convent. And people came together to live and to enjoy life without an agenda of conversion or membership or payment. People just came together to experience life and enjoy the one life that they do have. So, in conclusion, let's think about how we can bring this wisdom and apply it to our lives today. Here are a few ways to start applying Epicurus' teaching on death, plus some journal prompts to help you reflect. Think about, reflect on the nature of death. Think about death as non existence rather than something to fear. So here's a journal prompt. What do I truly fear about death? And how might accepting it as a natural process ease that fear? Now, if it's the fear of hell that you're concerned about and not death itself, but where you go after you die, that will be a different topic of discussion. And I'm going to do a podcast episode on that. So live in the present and practice gratitude. Gratitude can keep us grounded in the now, helping us let go of the future. So here's the journal prompt. What are the simple pleasures I enjoy today that I often overlook? How can I be more mindful of them? And our third action step for today is to nurture meaningful relationships. Friendship and community make life richer. So here's the journal prompt. Who are the people that make my life more meaningful? And how can I invest more into those relationships? Honestly, just give people a call, see who picks up. This is the Epicurus Podcast, Conquering the Fear of Death. We talked about his core argument, how the fear of death impacts our life, and how to overcome it, practically speaking. I hope that this has helped you in the way that this has helped me. I've been in your shoes, and there is hope in this life. If you want a practical 10-day guide, you can download it for free by joining my Patreon. Just click in the link down below in the description. I hope to see you in the virtual community. Take care. Goodbye. Your friend, Andrew, in wisdom and in love.